Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rise News analyst, Emmanuel Efene. Great Malabite, good morning.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Kayode Akintemi. Always a pleasure sitting by the grey-haired man. Yes, we start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, we must succeed by all means, Tinubu declares. 6 National Assemblies nod to borrow $7.8 billion, 100 million euros external loans, vows not to spare any resources in bid to turn nation around. Perform or be sacked, President tells ministers' advisors. British High Commissioner hails federal government reforms. World Bank's commitment in Nigeria since 2020, over $11 billion, says country director. Yes, the much awaited, well-canvassed retreat of the ministers and other political appointees of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu held yesterday. And the president, of course, restating his desire to succeed. And that is what I liked about it. I want to succeed. And he has given his ministers the marching order. For somebody who is an advocate of teamship, every member of the team has to perform to the optimal, otherwise the team will not win. And the president has said, well, if you don't perform, you will go. And it's good to hear that, because coming from the late Kagi of the Buhari years, once you are appointed, you can just go to sleep and be sure that you will be at the at the last ESCO meeting, the valedictory ESCO meeting at the end of the tenure, bearing any unforeseen circumstance. President Buhari does not even bother to change ministers. So it was a good thing to hear that, yes, we are not going to carry on with that kind of style. If you don't perform, you will leave. And the ministers, I'm sure, they will get the message. And of course, the results delivery unit set up by the president to be headed by Adiza Bala Usman, technocrat, first-class brain, who has distinguished herself as a technocrat in government. So a lot of job for Adiza Bala Mohammed, because Usman, because she is like the monitor of the class of 2023 set of ministers. I hope nobody will try to lobby her to do what she doesn't want to do. Now, we'll look at other stories. Of course, before we look at other stories, the Nation newspaper also reporting this story. The Nation, perform or get sacked. President wants minister. The Blueprint reporting that story. Tinubu to ministers with performance bond, deliver or quit. Now, if we look at the Daily Independent newspaper, I just look at the story below the photograph. I have capacity to fight back. Wike warns distractors, cautions against tampering with political structure. Well, the elders of Rivers State were in town yesterday in Abuja to solidarize with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Chief Nyesom Ezenwa-Wike. So you want to ask, are they all up against the governor of the state? Well, perhaps they will also find time to pay a visit to the governor of the state in the spirit of reconciliation, because Rivers State need peace to deliver on the promise to the citizens who are not getting that now. Yes, a lot of roads constructed here and there, but unemployment still very high in Rivers State, and insecurity also still part of that state. So these are challenges the new governor must deal with instead of being bogged down by political crisis, as it were. Now, but if we look at the Punch newspaper, yes, court stops Fubara's removal, PDP governors consult Wike. Nobody can intimidate me. Impeachment, not a coup. FCT minister insists crisis will be resolved, says Fubara. PDP governors plan Port Harcourt meeting. So we'll hear more on that. Now, of course, the Daily Sun newspaper also reporting that story. Rivers crisis, Fubara under fire as stakeholders back Wike as governor to deny insinuations, allegations against FCT minister. Nothing wrong with father-son disagreement. Same Fubara, the governor of Rivers State, saying there. So let's hope before long, Godfather and Godson will reconcile and they will be on the same page. But the governor is in charge, and I hope everybody else will get that message. And same Fubara, you just have to stick to that position, because I haven't gained your freedom from your godfather. If you want to go prostrating once more, then people will say perhaps you don't know why you were elected a governor. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, Tinubu seeks Senate's approval for $7.864 billion, 100 million euro loan to finance education, health. Others say facility arranged during Buhari's administration. Borrowing source not stated. Senate confirms China as Senate confirms Chira as AGF, Accountant General of the Federation. 7 out of 10 REC nominees. Well, 3 still pending among the resident electoral commissioners nominated by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, the Guardian newspaper, red flag on domestic borrowings as Tinubu considers 30 trillion naira fresh loans, borrowing everywhere. Well, we thought with the removal of fuel subsidy, a lot of savings will have been done, but as we can see, that is not the case because we still spend a lot of our money, spend a lot of our funds importing petroleum products. Now, I thought I saw somewhere, yes, about, the Vanguard newspaper. Let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. Imo labor protests, 1 fear dead, many injured, NLC president brutalized. The right to protest is the right of every Nigerian and in the right of labor. Who brutalized Ajero? I think it's a question we must ask. The police saying, oh, we only took him into protective custody. When there is protest, peaceful protest at that, you expect the Nigerian police to be around to forestall protests being hijacked by hoodlums or protesters being attacked by hoodlums. Who attacked Ajero? Imo State government saying, not us, we don't know anything, but an officer of that government saying Ajero brought this to himself because he disobeyed court order. When did it become the norm for thugs to enforce court order? Perhaps Imo State government officials will have to answer that question. If they say Ajero brought this onto himself, the court can deal with the issues of contempt of court, and they know how to go about it. Not for hoodlums to be sponsored or encouraged to attack the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly. The Guardian newspaper. No, we'll start with the Times of London. Yes, first Britons are allowed to flee Gaza into Egypt. Rafah checkpoint opens after days of talks. Now, the Guardian newspaper. Pandemic hit brain health of over 50s, according to a study. Yes, cognitive decline sped up regardless of whether people had caught COVID or not. And this, according to a study carried out by the University of Exeter and the King's College, London, a report that was published in the Lancet Healthy Longevity Journal. Ruben Ayo and Kayode Akintemi, over to you.
Well, first, let me comment on the fact that now in the crisis between Israel and Hamas, the border towards Egypt at Rafah has now been opened, and about 400 Britons, have been able to cross, including about, quite a number of children, about 52 children. So we hope that this will be sustained, and protected persons would be allowed to have access to humanitarian help and go and be allowed to leave the theater of combat. What we're told is that, okay, this was as a result the delay was as a result of negotiations between Israel, Hamas, and Egypt. But it looks like a positive development. But there are over 1,000 persons who are trapped in difficult circumstances. We hope that more efforts will be made to free them. The second other issue that I think is of international interest is the ongoing Artificial Intelligence Summit in Belchley. I hope the pronunciation is correct. In the UK, being hosted by Prime Minister Sunak. Quite a number of issues coming out from there. But the most notable would seem to be the anxiety that has been expressed, about the danger that artificial intelligence poses to humanity. Although Elon Musk himself said that much, but Nick Clegg has a different opinion. But the Commerce Secretary of the U.S., Gina Raymond, says, well, the U.S. is going to put together a system to police artificial intelligence. What this means, in my view, is how it's a double-edged sword. Finally, in Imo State, yes, you are very right about the police. And I think that the Inspector General of Police would need to personally, call the Commissioner of Police and find out exactly what happened. I've seen some comments here and there saying that the Commissioner of Police in that state is the same Commissioner of Police that was in Adamawa during that controversial gubernatorial election in Adamawa. So that raises questions. People are saying, well, he was there, he was sent to Adamawa, and now on special request, he's been called back. But I think it's something we need to investigate. And he's in Imo? Well, we need to investigate to be sure. Because I was arguing with the person that I thought he had been moved to another place in July. If he's the same person, that would be quite a scandal indeed. Yeah.
All right, just very quickly, the front page of The Guardian, one story that I think is quite interesting, even in the details, is another governor bowing to conscience shuns ex-governor's monthly pension. It's in page 3 of the Guardian newspaper, and that governor is former governor of Gombe State, Senator Ibrahim Dankwambo, and perhaps as a response to a Guardian front page article where they had detailed the amount of money that would be spent on pensions for governors who are currently serving in the Senate. And it is almost, I don't know what word to use in terms of the amount of money that each state is spending and the largesse, that is the pensions of these former governors. And perhaps also a call for the others who haven't yet told this line. The first person who did this was Senator Gbenga Daniel, former governor of Ogun State, who wrote to the governor, Dapo Abiodun, to say that he would like his pension suspended while he was serving in Senate. The Senate president himself is still receiving, at least he hasn't written any letter to ask them to suspend, but just what they get in terms of allowances, houses, cars every 4 years, cooks, and the likes. Perhaps we need to go back again to that pension act for the governors and review the terms of the pensions.